Well, hi again, this is Dr. Michael Bogart, welcoming you back to clip 3 in the 6th series of videos in our Exploring World Religions series. In this clip, we'll briefly trace the development of Buddhism in the centuries after Buddha's death, and we'll get to that sex issue. So, Buddha died suddenly in his 80s, sometime in the 400s BC. And for a while, things carried on more or less as they had before, with his disciples spreading his teachings in many different directions. After Buddha's death, several councils held over 3 centuries struggled with key issues for how the teaching would be practiced in the future by a much wider range of people than the Buddha had foreseen. The last of these councils took place under the sponsorship of the Indian Emperor Ashoka, who sent Buddhist missionaries to all Asia, making it thereby a transnational religion. The Great Divide took place after the Second Council, in which Buddhism split into the more purist Theravada path, that's the teaching of the elders, and the Mahayana path, the large raft, which was more flexible about including other religious ideas. So let's look at each one briefly. As I said, Theravada is the more purist path. It's also called Hinayana, the small raft, as opposed to the large raft, Mahayana. As a purist approach, fewer people are attracted to it, so the raft is necessarily smaller. Theravada is typically found in Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka. Here are its distinctive features. Theravada claims that direct descent from Buddha's teachings requires that they go no further than he did. For scripture, it uses the Tripitaka, the 3 baskets or collections of rules: the basket of discipline, the basket of teachings, and the basket of ultimate things. The Buddha is revered, but he is not considered divine. It's his teachings on how to escape suffering that are the issue, not the man. Theravada centers on worship and activities at a temple complex, including a gathering hall, monks' quarters, etc., and pagodas house relics related to the Buddha. Theravada teaches that there are other Buddhas in the making called Boddhihatva, who through many reincarnations are moving toward Buddhahood themselves, and they expect a coming Buddha for the next age that they call Mateya. There's another world ruler figure taught by one of the major world religions. Nirvana is achieved by each individual with no help from any divine being. Now, the Mahayana path is prominent in places like China, Japan, and Korea. And although these countries share the Mahayana approach to Buddhism, their actual practice and some secondary beliefs vary widely from nation to nation. As I mentioned, Mahayana Buddhism is far more willing to accommodate the cultural traditions and even some alien religious beliefs into its expression of Buddhist teachings. So some of its distinctives include devotion to Buddha as a semi-divine being in some forms of Mahayana, expressed in their worship before the images of the Buddha. Many Bodhisattvas are reverenced as semi-divine beings, some of which seem to have originated as gods and goddesses in pre-Buddhist religions in different parts of the world. Mahayana is also much more philosophical and may offer speculations on matters like divinities and the unseen world. Now to that question about, can sex expand your mind? Well, in some forms of Hinduism, but especially in some forms of Buddhism, Tantrism features that kind of thing. Tantrism is most often found in Mahayana Buddhism. It makes use of rituals, chants, sex, and magic. Anything to expand the mind, anything as an aid to achieving the quest for nirvana. All kinds of unorthodox and even strange methods can be used in some forms of Mahayana Buddhism. Some people see Tantrism as the dark side of Buddhism, and I don't think that's much of a surprise. While I classified Buddhism into 2 paths or branches, some would actually add a 3rd path, Vajrayana, the diamond thunderbolt. This form of Buddhism is sometimes classified as a type of Mahayana, but other people like to classify it separately. It's typically found in Tibet and Mongolia. Tibetan Buddhism is focused on lamas, which are the chief monks in a monastery. The Dalai Lama was the leader of pre-communist Tibet, and now the current Dalai Lama serves as an informal spokesman for Buddhism in general. Well, okay, that's all for this 6th in the series of videos exploring world religions. In Series 7, we're going to take a closer look at the native religions of China. We're going to ask the question, those crystals you buy in those little interesting shops, do they really have power? Do they really work? We'll talk about that in relation to the native religion of China called Taoism. Till then, this is Dr. Michael Bogart. We'll see you in Series 7.